Hey guys, welcome to 2.0. I'm your host, JR. I am so happy that you can join us for another episode. I'm happy to be back on your screen, and I want to thank you for continuing to watch our episodes week after week. We appreciate it, and we hope you are enjoying the information that we are sharing or the interviews that we are having with our wonderful guests. And this week, as we get ready to conclude the interview that we've been having with Willie. So if you did not have a chance to catch up on part 1 and 2, I would encourage you to go back on the channel, look for the videos, look for part 1, part 2, so you can get caught up, and then you can come back and watch the conclusion of this video. I'm telling you, we are so grateful for Willie. He was our first guest on the show. We had a great time. We had an amazing time, and I hope you find his testimonies to be as inspiring as I find it. So don't forget, share this video with a friend. Feel free to leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button if you have not subscribed to the channel yet. We appreciate your support. We appreciate the love and all the feedback. So thank you so much for doing that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the conclusion of the interview, and then we'll see you soon.
But, to hear your story, it's very inspiring.
Yeah, I was there for 3 months. That was the worst 3 months of my life.
Yeah.
But it was a hand up, not a handout.
That was a hand up.
Yeah, it was a hand
like
up.
that.
And
yeah.
So for 3 months, and then I got into, of course, the properties. I got into investing and all that.
Right. Yeah. So you started investing in real estate and all
Real
that.
estate, yeah.
And at some point, you had how many houses?
4.
You had 4 houses.
Yeah, 4 houses. Yeah.
Okay.
But I switched a few here and there, and I sold some and bought. Sold one, bought one. So now I'm down to 3.
Nice.
I can't live in them all, so I don't need them. I don't need them.
No, but it's amazing to see, to see that transition, right? But I want to go back to the part where you say, just trust God, right? Trust God with your finances, trust God with your plan. So what do you think was the, I guess the key or the motivating factor for you for that transition out of welfare and to becoming such a successful businessman?
I think the biggest part was the trusting God. Like I said, I was on welfare, and I just made a commitment to God that I will give 10%, a penny from every dime that I earn, and a dime from every dollar.
Yeah.
Because if God would do one thing, that's all I asked him. I said, if I would win this unemployment, this unemployment, and the reason I was on unemployment, I lost a job, was because I've shared this many times. I accidentally punched my boss 6 times, and when that happened,
wait, hold on. How do you accidentally punch him 6 times?
I think I had my fist up, and he kept hitting his head.
He kept walking into it.
He just kept doing this, and I tried to stop him, but he wouldn't stop. Okay?
Willie, you are a wild character, man.
I had issues. Okay, I had issues, but anyway, yeah. So they had 5-6 people that were the witness against me, and they were all signed up to go to the unemployment. And I went to Pastor Miller, and he said, let's just pray. And I said, okay. And in that prayer, I said, God, if I win this, I will, for the rest of my life, I will give you 10% of everything that I own at the minimum. That's the minimum.
Right.
And I went to that meeting, and none of them showed up. Wow. And I won. I came home with $1,200 of back pay.
Oh my God.
I was like, Pastor, here's $120. He said, no, wait till Sunday. I said, oh my Lord, now he's testing me.
Now you gotta hold it.
I gotta hold on to. I never held on to a penny in my life, and I'm like, here I am holding on to $120 for a week, for 4 days or 3 days, whatever. It was Wednesday, I think. So it was Sunday. 3 days later, 4 days later.
Yeah, but isn't it amazing though? Because you had 6 witnesses, right? I mean, something can happen. 1 witness don't show up, or 2 witnesses don't show up. Or even 3 don't show up. But for all 6?
All 6, not a single one showed up.
All 6 not show up. That is crazy.
They were all paid to be there. Every one of them was an employee. Yeah. And all agreed to be there. All their names were on the list. I said, I'm cooked.
Yeah.
But I just said, Lord, if you want me to give 10% of my money, according to what that lady Nosa, which is my wife now, said, I said, I will win this case. So I gave God an impossible task. Nothing's impossible for God. But I didn't know that well. I wasn't that smart,
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So now you've gone from welfare to working and now having your own business. And now, not only that, you also teaching financial classes as well, and you're teaching people how to invest. You're talking about investing in stocks and, also real estates and so on and so forth. How did that come about?
It's interesting because, again, back to Bishop Miller, Pastor Miller, at the time, he gave me a book. It was on budgeting.
Budgeting, okay.
And it was a Larry Burkett and something about money anyway. And I read that book and I just, that's the type, I think my personality, I have that addictive personality where I was, first drink, I was, boom, 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 couldn't stop. And now you teach me something about money and I just can't get enough. I want to learn. I want to learn as much as I can.
Right.
And when it comes to the Lord, I want to know as much as I can with his word and all these things. So I immerse myself. I just pour into whatever is given to me. And I really, so I learned how to handle money so well that while I was on welfare, I was tithing 10%, and my electric bill was paid to zero at the end of every month. My gas bill was zero at the end of every month. My rent was zero at the end of every month. My phone bill was zero at the end of every month. Everything was paid with welfare. I had plenty of food in my cabinets. My kids were well fed, and all this was on $660 a month, and then $135 mid-month, and I was giving 10% of that to the Lord, and God was blessing me, and God showed me, listen, you can do this with nothing. Imagine what you could do when I blessed you. And so God had blessed me tremendously. And I kept my expense, my way of living here, while while the money kept coming up here. And it keeps growing. But I keep my living standards have risen, but nothing compared to where I could be, where someone in my situation would be.
Wow. Wow.
So it's all about trusting God. That's what the bottom line was, that I stopped trusting myself and what I can do, what my ability is, and trusting God and his word and filtering everything through his word.
Right.
When it comes to God doesn't promise we're going to be wealthy. God doesn't promise your whole life is going to be perfect when you come to him. It wasn't perfect. My life wasn't perfect. But he did promise that he's going to be with me through the fires, through the floods, through the waters. God will be with me, and he never let me down.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, so now, not only you've learned how to, manage your money so well, but you also find it beneficial to, I guess, share that with other people.
Love that.
And you started teaching that. So talk to us a little bit about how you got into teaching financial classes.
Well, I got introduced to teaching in Gospel Light, just teaching in general, and I just had, I knew that I had the gift of teaching, and people really loved the classes so much, and then I got into the finances. I wanted to teach that as well. I wanted to see people be successful just as I am. I'm not doing anything miraculous. I'm trusting God and I'm following simple principles. And I said, I can teach this, and so I've been doing it ever since, and I've been helping people. I mean, tens, if not thousands, tens of thousands of people throughout the years, helping them get out of the mess they're in and living a decent life,
Yeah.
But trusting God in the process.
No, definitely. I mean, you are, your story is very inspiring. You're, a great teacher, a speaker as well. Like I said, when I took the financial class with you, I wasn't able to attend all 3 sessions, but I did, for the 2 sessions, and I thought they were, very beneficial. There were some key things that you shared that, that we do find very helpful, and that I've, applied into my own personal finances. So, it's good. And, for you to be able to share that, that wealth, or to share that knowledge with others, that's amazing. And I think the key part is just, trusting God with your finances, regardless of how much you get. Because, for example, it would have been easy for you to say, you know what, I'm on welfare. God knows I'm not working. It's just a welfare check. It's only $600 a month, so he'll understand if I don't do that, if I don't give that $60 for tithing. But you know what, the fact that you were faithful with that, I think that really was what kind of propel you into the success that you're experiencing now.
Yeah. One thing I learned is God doesn't need much. He just needs your little.
Yeah.
If you're willing to give him your little, he can do much with it. And so that's how he worked in my life. It wasn't how much I had. It was how much I'm willing to trust him with. Will I trust him with that little?
Yeah.
And he took it and just blossomed, and he just, he did an amazing work. Nothing, I can't take any credit for it, because it's not because of my brains or how smart I was. I was thrown out of school at the age of 16. So I didn't make it very far in school, but yet I'm able to help tons of people based on what God has taught me and what he's done in my life.
Gotcha. So now, okay, so you've been married, second marriage. How did you meet your second wife?
I met her at Gospel Light. Everything is Gospel Light. I met her at Gospel Light. She was there doing her job of chasing all the other sisters away from me because, you know,
She was doing her job.
oh yeah, yes, yeah. She was like the you know, she was like the big mother there. She was like the one to protect the innocent little sheep, and I was in there like I was the wolf. You know, that's how she looked at me, and she said, "You stay away from that guy." So she would one after another. She would make sure. So I would go on to the next one, and she would get rid of that one. And so one of them actually, when after me and Nilsa got married, one of them came up to her and goes, "I heard you married him. You told me to wait." I said, "Yeah, she was pretty smart. She had it all planned out."
She was pushing them away and
Yeah,
while
so-
saving you for
Yeah, no,
herself.
she didn't want anything to do with me. You know, the interesting part was she was sincerely trying to protect them and wanted nothing to do with me.
Right.
And then she had a dream. And the dream, you know, she was, you know, praying, you know, who to marry. And she had a dream. And she came in the church and she's walking down the aisle and on that altar was me.
Wow.
And she knew at that point, you know, after 10 proposals, that's all it took, 10 proposals. She finally said yes. She couldn't resist me.
Well, you said she's strong, right? She's a
Yeah.
strong woman. So
Yeah, she's a strong woman. She couldn't resist me.
Wow, that's
Only 10 proposals later, she said yes. But that dream, it took that dream, you know, that God had to speak to her because God had a plan for both of us.
yeah.
We weren't perfectly made in our own eyes. She wasn't my choice, and I wasn't her choice. You know? That wasn't the case. It was. We were now looking at God's choice. God made decisions, and He knew what's best for both of us. That we were the best for each other, and the children that we're going to produce are going to be the best if we are together. And that was 100% true.
Definitely. So now I know, during your first divorce, you weren't saved, you weren't a Christian. So now that, looking back and you've been saved for, X amount of years and looking at what's happening in the church today, like what would be your advice to people who are facing difficulties and challenges in their marriage and probably thinking of calling it quit?
My advice is hang in there. I'm going to tell you something. The grass always seems greener on the other side, but it never is. The price that you're going to pay will be trauma. That's the price. It's traumatic. It is nothing that you can overcome. Even over time, it's always going to be there. It's like taking a piece of paper and ripping it apart. You can never, you see the jagged, you always have one piece on one side, one piece on the other person. You can never fully separate. I still have children and I have grandchildren that if I go to events, we're still there, she's there.
Yeah.
You can never separate yourself from the acts.
Right.
And so then you introduce a new family, so you got both sides here. Hang in there, get help. Seek as much help as possible and do what's right. Humble yourself, and if you have to say okay, just take it. Any punishment within that relationship is far less than you're going to get out of the relationship.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's one of the things that I always say at the conclusion of any episodes that we do, because me personally, I don't believe in divorce. Like I don't support divorce. So it's unfortunate, I found myself in a situation where I had to go through a divorce, but it's not something that I promote or that I believe, people should be doing. And as you said, there are certain situations out there, especially if there's physical abuse and so on and so forth. So that does warrant, a separation or a divorce. But any other situation that is going on, it's almost like you are telling the world that the issues that I'm facing in my marriage right now, they are too big for God to fix.
Yeah, that's a good point. And nothing is too big for God. And there's some statistics that say, I believe it's 80% of divorces are initiated by the wife.
Yeah.
And when you look at those numbers and you say to yourself, well, what's going on here? And then, sometimes maybe the men take a little longer to grow. And that's true. But then over time, what happens is the man grows and now his life is together and her life is still falling apart.
Right.
If we can just stick it together, not initiate, not start that divorce, and your life over time will be so much better.
Right. That's a good point because they do say overall women matures much faster than men do. right? With men, we were a little, slow. We had a little slow at getting things together or getting ourselves together or really finding that rhythm where we can be the full functional adult that we're supposed to be, you know?
Yeah.
So sometimes along the way, maybe the woman feel like, you know what, I'm tired of waiting,
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing the potentials, but I'm not actually living, I'm not seeing the potentials at work, I just
Yeah.
see them there, but they never come to fruition,
Right.
so
Yeah, and there's a lot of factors into that. Of course, the culture is a big part, but there's the typical wife has a natural tendency to be the mother rather than the
mhm,
wife, and so treating a grown man as a child also has a strong effect. It has a separate effect because you no longer have that same relationship. The
yeah,
relationship is not there as a husband and wife. It's a mother and children.
hmm,
The three children you have plus you, that's four.
yeah,
And because it takes a while for a man to grow up, but you still got to treat him like a man.
yeah, definitely,
You
yeah,
still got to understand that he's still the man.
right,
And there's some level of respect that has to go both ways.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So now with the financial classes that you teach, so is that a business on its own? Like if someone wanted to reach out to you to get you to, I guess, put up a seminar for them or teach the class at their church. So how do they go about reaching you?
Well, eh, well, they can call me at 203-331-6682. I will gladly meet with any church as long as they're Christian church. I mean, you know, there are some standards. I do have some, but I don't charge anything. It's not a business. It's something that I just love to do.
Hmm.
I love to see people doing better. I love to build people up, and so that's my reward. If I see you successful and doing great and
Yeah.
doing better than you were doing after you're going through my classes,
Hmm.
that's my reward.
No, that's
Changing
awesome.
lives, bringing you from glory to glory. That's what I
Yeah,
like to see.
yes, that
Yeah.
definitely. And I like the fact that you're willing to share that, right? Because some people they come into the knowledge of something and they take it, they thrive on it, but they keep it to themselves, right?
Yeah.
So they don't really share it with other people. And I love the fact that you are going around putting those conferences, putting together those conferences almost free of charge. You did it at our church, we attended, we didn't have to pay anything. So it's, as you said, you know what, God has blessed you enough that you want to see people thrive and you want to see people do it the right way. So that is
That's
awesome.
my principle is this: God supplies all my needs. I mean, everything. God supplies 100%. So I don't want anything from a church. I don't want no pay. I don't want, there's the honorary gift. I don't want anything
Yeah,
because God has already taken care of me. I'd rather give to them than
right.
to receive. I'm there to give, not to receive.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Brother Willie, as I said, man, you were my first guest on the show. I really appreciate your flexibility. I really appreciate you being vulnerable enough to put your story out there, to put yourself out there. I greatly appreciate it. So it was a pleasure to have you. So I don't know if you have any last words or any other advice or any last things you would like to say to the audience who is watching.
Well, I guess, first of all, I'd just like to say thank you for having me and having this opportunity to share my life. But I think one thing I would say is there's always hope. Whatever your situation is, if you're going through a difficult marriage, there's always hope and there's always help. Never feel that this is it and you have to divorce. Seek help because God is able to do anything. He can change anyone's life and he can fix. There's nothing he cannot fix if you give him the opportunity to do so. So I encourage you not to give up. Hang in there. Stay strong.
Awesome, awesome. I could not say it any better. If any men out there finding themselves going through a divorce right now, as Brother Willie said, just want to let you know, it's not the end. You don't have to go through it alone. Find yourself a support system, find yourself a therapist, find yourself a pastor friend, and talk to them. If you don't have anybody, feel free to reach out to me, leave me a comment. I'll be more than happy to get in touch with you and pray with you. So, again, thank you for watching. As always, I'll see you next time.